Mr. McGregor.
Committee, it's good to see you. You may recall that I was on the International Trade Committee when you appeared on April 2nd. We had a conversation at that point about the delegation that you wanted to send to China, and I missed the early part of your interaction with Monsieur Berthold, but you made those statements on April 2nd that you had sent a letter and that you were hoping to get the president of the CFIA there. At what point do we, how much longer are you willing to wait before we regard this as an insult to Canada, that China is unwilling to meet with us, unable to provide further scientific evidence? I appreciate the supports you've given to our farmers, but it just doesn't seem we're getting anywhere closer to a resolution with China. And how much longer are you prepared to accept them ignoring us before we want to take other steps or look at other options?
We have different options on the table, and we are having a very, transparent conversations with our partners on the working group. We have to take into consideration, the first English word that comes to my mind is comparative advantages. I mean, who we are as Canadians, how we do business as Canadians, what is the size of our various industries involved in terms of business and trade with China. And I mean, this is not an easy question. So it's important that we are being extremely careful not to elevate or to amplify.
But at the same time, we have to voice our displeasure when someone like the president of the CFIA can still not get to China. That's not a small bureaucratic position in our government.
No, I agree with you. But it's very delicate, and we are putting in the balance the different, sensitivity of each element. So each of us are working in and pushing what we have to push. I already said what is my role, and Minister Freeland is on hers, and Minister Carr is also. So I cannot answer your question clearly. It's not because I don't want to, because I don't have the answer to. I don't have a date, and I say if by, May 10th.
I have other questions.
Okay,
sorry,
then.
I just limited, but that's just something I just want to know that
so I wish I could answer more clearly, but
we just on behalf of all farmers, I just hope the government of Canada is paying attention to that particular issue. Next issue, I want to talk about tariff rate quotas. It's safe to say that our supply managed sectors have not been feeling a lot of love lately with the undermining of our import controls and the loss of market share. However, when I speak with our processors, specifically with relation,
just for clarification,
our tariff rate quotas. So
because I'm always listening to the floor. But are you talking about the supply management, like the eggs and poultry?
Initially, but I'm going off to what our processors are concerned about. So our tariff rate quotas, you're allowing with the European Union 55% to go to retailers and only 45% to dairy processors. Our dairy processors have good paying jobs in rural communities like yours across Canada. And I just want to know why you are not allocating more tariff rate quotas to our processors. Why are you giving it to retailers who have other secure sources of income when our processors are able to understand the market, to understand what types of cheeses are in demand, and to understand how we can import those in a controlled way that will not put our domestic industries at risk. So can you give this committee an assurance that you will give our domestic processors more of a share of the pie of our tariff rate quotas?
As you know, it's really Minister Carr was in charge of that. What I know...
But you do sit around the table with him,
but
and
still,
this is also under your file.
Yeah. And what I know, and I'll start with the PTT, anyway, the Partnership Agreement.
I know that's an 80-20, but I'm talking about the European one, which you're giving retailers more than our processors are getting.
I know about it, but I can't give you an answer if we are going to change.
But if our retailers are importing cheeses that are already readily available in Canada, then you're going to be importing hard cheeses that are putting our domestic industries at risk. So does it not make sense to give more of an allocation to our domestic processors who have an intimate understanding of the local market? I just want some assurance that you're aware of this problem, you're going to deal with it. Like our domestic suppliers, processors, they have already suffered enough under these trade deals. Surely you can throw them a bit of a bone with this particular part with tariff rate quotas.
I can assure you that I am aware, I understand, and that my priority with our supply management industries right now is to roll out what we have promised in the budget.
Quickly, a final question with regards to the animal transport regulations. Our shippers have indicated they have quite a concern with the new regulations that have come into effect. They've told us that they have a 99.6% safe transportation rate. What kind of science did your department use as a reference for putting the new regulations in place? Because our transporters are concerned this will actually lead to decreased animal safety by unloading them more often.
I've heard that, but I'll let my colleague from the CFIA to answer since you're asking for evidence.
Very short answer.
Thank you very much. Essentially, we have had a lot of consultations with various industry members. We have looked at all the science available in that area. We have looked at international standards, and the regulations that we have put out are actually, the best option possible in light of all that evidence that was in front of us.
Can you supply that to the committee, the reasoning behind the regulations? Okay, thank you.
Madame Nassif, 6 minutes. Thank you.
Well, I want to revisit the issue of tariff rate quotas again. You said you're aware of the issue. My question to you is, as the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food, are you prepared to give an opinion here at committee as to whether our domestic processors should have more of the tariff rate quota allocated to them from the trade deal with the European Union, given that retailers have most of it right now?
I've worked more on the one for the partnership agreement than CETA, so no, I'm not prepared to give you a clear answer now, but I would be pleased to come back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this will be all we have. Je vous remercie, Madame la Ministre, d'être venue ici.